Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and go through the service of our jelly bath. Okay, so we here on campus call it the jelly foot soak, or the jelly hand soak, just the jelly soak. Simply because you can do it on the hands or feet. Okay, you also hear it called the jelly spa bath. Various words for it, but the jelly soak. Okay, so we have our big metal petty bin, okay, our bowl. It's metal, so it helps retain the warmth of the water. We have our big liner, the petty liner. It's kind of like a big old processing cap. We have that on already for double protection. That does not mean that when you're done, you dump the water out, you throw this liner away. It does not mean that you do not wash and sanitize the bowl. You still have to do that, okay? Always, always, always. Just because the bag's on there does not mean you do not sanitize. All right, so the water has to be warm. It can be cold, it's just gonna take a lot longer, okay? You do have to make sure that you have your towels ready, okay? And then you also have to make sure you have all of your supplies. So we have our packet here. So we're using the Avery Beauty brand, okay? It has the step 1 and step 2 included. This is lavender, that's why it's purple. They come in different colors, different scents. This here is a set. It's sold typically about $3 a packet, okay? This particular one, this on the side is the jelly, okay? So the little itty bitty little beads, and when they're soaked in the water, they expand and they become jelly, and it kind of feels like you're in the sand, so it gives you very gentle exfoliation for the feet. It's very calming and relaxing, and it's really nice to just run your toes or your hands through it. It feels better on the feet than it does the hands, okay? Just this very sticky type. It just clings to everything, and it's not sticky, it just clings to everything, and it's very, it can get very messy, okay? So the other side, step 2, is the dilution mineral. This particular side, it has a little lavender scent, but pretty much all it is salt. So from experience, I've noticed that one packet doesn't completely dissolve. So we have purchased a big bundles of salt, and we pre-package them in these little containers, and we have these in the dispensary for you to use as necessary. So we have extra that we're going to add extra salt to make sure it dissolves it back. So step 1, we're going to go ahead and put the jelly in. Step 2, we're going to put the feet in, let it soak for 10 minutes. Then we're going to do rinse the feet off, then put the salt in, it dilutes it, and then we're going to dump it out. When we dump it out, we want to make sure to dump it out not in the sink. Don't dump this out in the drain, because it'll clog your drain, especially if you do this frequently. We take this, we go outside, we dump it in the grass or in the flower bed. In the flower bed, because it doesn't kill the grass. Sometimes in the summertime, it'll kill the grass, okay? So, or in the wintertime when it's wet, it'll kind of revive itself, and it'll be diluted down. But then if it rains or there's a lot of moisture, you'll see big piles of the jelly all over the lawn. So just keep that in mind, okay? I will be doing the demonstration with the mannequin feet, so that way you don't see my ugly toes. But let's go ahead and get started with our journaling, okay? So we have our journal here. It is the journal that it's our nail journal, where we have been doing all of our diagramming and things of the sort, okay? We, like I said, started on the back. Yesterday with the spa series, we put the toe icebreaker in the back. Then we did our manicure bath, and now on this side, this page, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our jelly soak. So you can go ahead and take all of your notes that are necessary, and make whatever notes you like. So we're going to do the jelly soak. Okay, so jelly spa bath is what I'm gonna name it. And the reason why is because you can do hands or feet, okay? And you can doodle however you choose or however you like. Now what we're gonna do keep the same format. We're gonna do the needs list of supplies that we need. Then we're gonna write the steps down, very vague steps, and then any notes that you choose, plus the time of how long it takes to do the service on the top corner. So this service takes 15 minutes. Okay. If you wanted the whole thing in the 15 minutes, you have 5 minutes to set up, 5 minutes to soak, 5 minutes to clean up. is fine, okay? But typically you want your setup ready before your client gets there, so you want everything set and ready to go. That way you soak for 10 minutes and then 5 minutes you clean up, okay? So let's go ahead and do needs list. Then you're going to do your steps and then your notes. Excuse my hands, I have washed and sanitized them with hand sanitizer so much that they are really dry and cracking. But okay, so let's go ahead and do our needs list. Our needs list, as you know here in class, is our supply list. So the supplies that we need obviously are our bowl, petty bowl. Now we're doing this on the feet, okay? But if you wanted to do it on the hands, you can have a smaller bowl. So it can be the manicure bowl, okay? So you need the bowl. You need the petty liner. The petty or bag is fine. Sometimes they're not actual liners that come in the big long strip. I had a long strip here. Where did it go? They don't come in this big old long strip. Sometimes they come as just bags. So this is a petty liner. And sometimes they're just big bags that are not crinkled this way, and you just put the bag over the bin. If you're at home, you don't have a liner, just use a trash bag is fine. Okay. All right. So you have your bag, and then you have hot water. And then you have your, of course, you have towels. Then you have your product. And maybe extra salt. Okay, that just depends on you. Okay, and sometimes, especially with the pedicure, just to get in between the toes, you can have, and this is optional, but or either a little scoop to kind of scoop some of the water, or to rinse off, or we here on campus we use these in the salon during spa days. Or salon days, we use these squeezy bottles. We fill them with warm water, not cold, so it doesn't shock your clients because their feet are immersed in something warm. And then we squeeze it to rinse off all of the jelly from the hands or the feet. Okay, for the hands, they can just rinse, not a problem, but the feet, it's a lot easier to use these little bottles. And if you don't have a squeezy bottle, just something you can pour water onto the hand or the foot, works just perfect. Okay, so that's just extra. I'm not going to write it down, but you can use it. Okay. All right, so your steps. The first thing that you're going to do is, of course, always clean. Always, before, during, after. Keep everything nice, neat, and professional. Okay, the next thing you're going to add warm prep station. And you always want to sanitize hands. And this is not just for COVID. This is not new to cosmetology. We always are very, very meticulous and particular about keeping everything clean and sanitary for the safety of and health of our clients and ourselves and our family, because then we go home and take all this stuff to them on us as well. Okay, so all of that, prep your station, professional setup. Like I say, professional setup, you don't want all your stuff kind of just all kind of mumble jumbled everywhere. You want it nice and neat and organized, and you want it to be straight, and you want that if a client takes a picture saying, oh, I'm at the spa, you want it to be nice and neat. You want that picture to be very inviting and interesting and intriguing to someone else looking at the picture saying, oh, hey, I want to go there. But if you have someone like a picture like that with stuff all over the place with dirty towels and things of the sort, then maybe the client isn't going to want to come or isn't going to want to be too interested, or might even say, wow, make sure I never go there because it looks very unprofessional. Okay? All right, so from here, then after you sanitize your hands or their hands, also you don't, of course, you're not going to wash their feet before, but there is an antiseptic spray that you can spray on the feet that'll sanitize the feet. Okay, so after that, then you're going to add water, add warm water. You're going to soak the feet or the hands. Again, today we're doing the feet, but either one. And this one's going to be for 10 to 15 minutes. We usually do 10, okay? 5 minutes is just not long enough to really get the feel of it and really enjoy it. But you can do 5 minutes as well. So Add warm water. You're going to soak the feet. Then you're going to rinse. Don't wipe because wiping doesn't work out. Just rinse. And then add salt. You're going to dump on grass or flower bed, the dirt or the mulch, either one. And then you're going to clean. And of course that includes sanitizing your hands, putting their shoes, helping them put their shoes back on, etc. Especially if it's an older person and they can't bend over very easily. You always want to make sure you do all that. Any notes as we go along, you watch the demonstration, please make sure to write and jot that down. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put that to the side. All right, so that's your cheat sheet. Anytime that you need to go back and take a look at that, it's there and ready for you. So let's say our client is here, is ready. We went ahead and clean, sanitize, everything's nice and professional. We're going to go ahead and have our product. Now, you can hand tear it. I would not use my teeth. Okay, so that you don't have an extra piece laying around, I just keep it attached. But I use scissors. Okay. And I always have scissors that are only for products in a drawer in the dispensary. So I don't use, all of that other stuff. So as you can see, it's rising out of the water. Now the jelly starts off as dry beads, and it's going to start to expand. So you want the client's feet in the warm water as you're adding the jelly, okay, the beads. That way they can feel the expansion. Now, if I didn't put that much water in here, and you'll notice the water's going down a little bit because it's soaking all up, it needs more water. These bowls for this amount of product should be halfway filled. So when the client puts their feet in, have them be very careful not to splash or for it to overfill, okay? You have to have plenty of space so that when their feet are in there, it doesn't rise up like it's doing and then fall out, okay? There's still some water in here. Oh, there must have been a hole in the bag because I see water on the other side, which is why there's not enough water in here and it's white, but usually it stays that kind of that purple color. So let's go ahead and put the client's foot in, okay? Yeah, this doesn't have enough water in it. So if you can kind of see, it's very white, okay? You can see the bottom is a little bit more purple, see? So that has plenty of water. The white doesn't have enough water just yet, and that's because the bag has a hole and the water's on the inside of the bag. But the client's feet are in here, and then they're just going to come in and play and wiggle their toes. They can do their hands as well. But what this is doing a soft, warm exfoliation. Now it's going to retain, if I put my hand here, I feel the heat. It's going to retain the heat because of the hot water. If you put cold water, it's not going to expand as quickly. The heat always makes things expand, and the cold always makes things contract. Okay, so always keep that in mind. So definitely it feels very nice and soothing and comforting. The client's feet will go in here, okay? You let them play, I would always put a big towel, and I have the white paper, but a big towel underneath, so that way if they spill out, which usually they always do by their heel area, if they spill out, no worries, they're going to go ahead and spill out onto the towel, not necessarily onto the floor, okay? I wouldn't put my hands in here because then you're going to have all the stuff all over your hands, unless if you have something that you can rinse off with in the bowl, okay? Just make sure your hands are clean. So you're going to let the client sit in here for 10 to 15 minutes. We're going to do 10 in class today, but the amount that you choose is fine, okay? So if it turns out this way and it looks really dry, and even you can see it looks really dry, you can add more water to it. Just make sure it's not too hot, okay? When you're adding water, you want to be very careful as far as it being too hot. You don't want to burn the client. Okay, so just keep that in mind. A lot of times when the client will put their feet in the hot water, the warm water actually, because your feet don't get wet very frequently like your hands do, your hands can take a hotter temperature. Your feet will be very sensitive to it. So have the client put their feet in, have them take their feet out quickly, and then wait a second, put it back in, take it out, put it back in, take it out. Your feet have to get acclimated to the warmth of the water, so that way you don't well, what will happen is the client will put their feet in, the water's warm, they'll say it's really hot, and they'll ask you to put cold water in it or make it cooler. You put cold water in it and it's cooler, but then in 5 minutes the water's completely cold, okay? So you want to start with hot water that's not too crazy hot, just very, very nicely, kind of measured for the skin. You don't want to burn your client either. And then let them get acclimated by putting the feet in, taking them out, in, out, etc. The hands as well. And then with time, in the temperature of the room, it will begin to cool down on its own. Keeping in mind that you are using a metal bowl that retains the warmth of the temperature of the water, and also this particular product will retain the temperature as well, so it will not get as cold as fast. Okay, so from here, let's pretend we're going to let the client soak, and let me just put a little bit of water in my bottle for 2 seconds. Okay, and so, I apologize, I stepped away because I had not filled this with water, but the squeezy bottle, let me show you how that works. When the client takes the foot out, they're just going to tap it. You don't want to necessarily touch the stuff. You can have gloves, obviously. Every time we work with feet, we have gloves. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and have an opening in my... So we're going to go ahead and rinse. I think there's a little hole in the straw. And so we are rinsing with this squeezy bottle. We are rinsing the product off. And then of course you want to have, there's a hole in this. You want to have your towels ready. Okay, let's just say that we have, let me open this up. If you don't have the squeezy bottle, no big deal. You can just take some water and then you can just rinse the feet off, like so. Just like that. Okay? Alright, so once that's done, you can push this to the side and have your towel ready. Now, let me show you something about these towels. This is a clean towel, okay? It is clean. So, this particular towel is washed, has been bleached, and is clean, but it looks dirty. So we want to make sure to take good care of our towels from the very beginning. Always bleach them, always fold them or roll them nice and neat so they're not all crinkly whenever you set them down, and they're not all stained when you're going to use them. Because if a client were to see this, they'd say, wow, that towel is dirty. Well, no, it's not dirty, it's just stained. But you never want to use these kinds of towels on a client because it's very unprofessional. Okay, you wouldn't like to go to a salon and pay a lot of money and then someone use a towel like this. Okay. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to take the client's foot, okay, and then we're going to put the foot in the middle. We're going to put our hands on both sides, and we're going to go ahead, starting from the ankle, we're going to go ahead and gently massage and tap, pick up the toes, go in between the toes, hold the heel with the towel or your hand, and then pat the bottom, making sure you get the arch of the foot, and then we're good to go. Okay, now you don't want to just take the towel and just kind of blot it like this because it's not very professional. They can do that at home and it's not very relaxing. So you always want to make sure it's very meticulous and you're very particular about how you handle your clients. Okay, so that's that. Let's go ahead and go back to this here. Now I don't have enough water, so I'm not sure if this is actually going to work all the way through, but we're going to go ahead and do our step 2. So you don't have this extra piece laying around. They have to worry about and pick up. I'm just going to leave it attached, but we're going to go ahead and put our salt in. And again, because it does not have enough water, I'm not sure if this is actually going to work for us today. And then I'm putting extra salt. And you'll notice that where you put the salt in, it starts to dissolve back, okay? Now, you do have to, there's different brands of this product, so you do have to learn your product to see what is going to work best, okay? So from here, this is going to take a little bit. It doesn't happen as fast as it happened when you put the water in the beads and the beads were expanding. This process takes a while, okay? Which is why when we do this and we put it back to water form, we put it we don't put it down the drain, we put it outside on the grass or in the flower bed. These beads here will clog your not your pores, I'm sorry. They will clog your drain. So that's why we don't put it in the drain, okay, down the sink, in the tub or the toilet or the hand sink, none of that, okay? You want to put this and set this outside, okay? So what you want to do is make sure you have gloves on, because obviously your client's feet have been in here and they gave it a soft exfoliation. It's really hot, so keep in mind, because it does retain the temperature when you dip your hands in. If it's still warm, it's still hot, just keep in mind you'll definitely feel the warmth. So I start on the top mixing the salt, and of course you would have gloves on, and you can already see it's turning back into water. It's more liquidy than it was mushy, okay? So again, this takes a while, and I just mix it around to help speed up the process and make sure that the salt gets everywhere. And you can see the water already. You can already see it going back into liquid form, okay? So it's definitely a chemistry process going on here. So you can definitely add more salt, or as much salt. If you need to go faster, you're more than welcome to do so, okay? Again, it's not an instant process. You noticed how it got everywhere on my hands when it was mushy. So when you do this on hands, it is a lot more messier than on feet. It's just feet a little bit more difficult to get off of, but it's easy whenever you're wiping or you're pouring the water onto the feet. Don't have your client rinse their hands at the sink when they have their hands with this jelly. It's a little bit, but it still can accumulate, especially if you do this service frequently in your salon. So this jelly bath here, you'll notice it's already going back into water, okay? So if you're wearing gloves, then you can just take the gloves off, and then you can go ahead and not have to worry about rinsing your hands with all this little jelly into the sink, okay? So give it some time. If you don't want to sit around and wait for it to completely dissolve, no worries. From here, you can go dump it outside in the grass, or you can dump it in the flower bed, the dirt area. And if not, just let it sit to the side for a little bit after you originally mixed it. Let it sit on its own for a little bit, and then it'll dissolve into water. It does not dissolve 100% back into water, because obviously the beads are still here, but it dissolves enough to where it will be able to spill out. Okay, so after dumping the water, you want to throw the liner away. You want to wash the bowl. Perfect example, there was a hole in the bag and my bowl is dirty, so all the bacteria and everything from the client's feet and all the process, then now it's on the bowl. That's why we always have to make sure to wash and sanitize our bowls. Okay, so then you want to wash and sanitize the bowl. You want to dump the liner out into the trash can, all that good stuff. Clean your area, sanitize all your supplies, wash your hands, and then you're good to go. All right, so there you have it. There is your jelly soak for the feet. Of course, you can do it for the hands. Like I said, it's very messy, so you don't want to do it on children or for children, but they really love getting the service done. It's one of our most popular services for the younger kiddos here. So, all right, if you have any questions, please let me know. Hope you enjoy this demo on how to do the jelly soak.